Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's late. I meant to put up my countdown, but oh well, we're here now. So today, what I'm going to be doing is giving you guys, showing you guys the process of how to rig a character in Adobe After Effects. So let me get this shared, and then we'll get right to it. Also, if you see anything that is of interest to you, just be sure to let me know, and I'll make sure I address it. Give me 1 second. Hopefully, you can hear the music in the background while I'm doing this. One second. Sure, one more place and we'll get rolling. So, what you're currently looking at right now is um, Adobe Illustrator. And so, this is the image, like I said, that I will be um, character rigging. I've already gone over the outlines of how I want this set up for After Effects, and I'll just walk you through that pretty quickly before jumping over to After Effects. And the actual reason why I'm doing this video is because last night I finished it up. However, I was making one last tweak and After Effects crashed on me, and then I realized that I never actually saved the program. I never saved the file. So everything that I worked on pretty much all day yesterday, because I'm trying to get back into this into character rigging. It's been a while since I've done it, and I was just toying with it all day. I really didn't sit down and crunch hours into it. But when I made one tweak, the program just went out, and everything that I did, several hours worth of, probably even more than several, actually, probably like 4 or 5 hours worth of work, just went away. It just vanished, and so I was like, I mourned it for all of 10 seconds, and I was like, oh well. I learned some stuff going through the process, and that's one thing I just wanted to reiterate for anybody that's working on files, is working on anything really, is that just once you prepare your mind to do the work, things like that will happen sometimes. Definitely make sure you save, and I'll go through that process as well. But even if you do lose the work that you've done, the knowledge that you've retained in going through that process is still there. And so this time, I imagine that it'll go a whole lot faster than it did the first time. Anyway, let's jump right to it. So this is what it looks like, my file layout. As you can see, I haven't labeled anything in here, and that's kind of on purpose, because it's much easier to label stuff in After Effects. So I definitely believe in labeling your layers, but in After Effects is a whole lot simpler. And also, what's different today is that I will actually be utilizing one screen so you guys can see everything. Typically, I'll break up my timeline to where I have my artboard on one screen and I have my timeline that I do my editing on a separate screen. So that way I have a lot of space to utilize. But for the sake of this, quick tutorial, or I don't know how quick it'll be, uh, you'll be able to see how I go about this process. Anyway, this is the original image, and it's gonna look crazy when I show you this, but this is what it's going to look like when I transport it over into After Effects. Like I said, it looks kind of weird, and this I did it this way on purpose so I could see where everything is when I bring it into After Effects. I broke all my layers apart, and as you can see, I simplified it quite a bit. I'll show you this again. That's what I'm going for. And once I get this rig set up, then I'll be able to animate it And of course, typically you'll build several different rigs for that to work. But anyway, let's get to it. Let me save this. Yeah, I can delete that layer. I'm just going over everything, making sure it's what I want it to be. I need to take the outline off of that. And all I did was hit backslash. I'll figure out how to do the keyboard thing to where my keyboard shows up so you can see what I'm hitting. I'll try to keep in mind to let you guys know what I'm doing so you can follow. But anyway, this is a quick rough of what it'll look like. And so let me save this and we'll go into After Effects. Let me close this as well just to save some memory. Give me 1 second. Okay, as you can see, I have After Effects here. And so anybody that's utilizing After Effects, this is the Adobe suite. One thing that I want you to do is make sure you go up to the file. I'm on a Mac, by the way. So go up to your file preferences, click on autosave. I didn't do this when I first started. So I'm giving you this tip to make sure that you click autosave. Click autosave and that'll come up. And my system may be a little slow because I'm streaming. So we'll see how this works. And just click on save ever so often, right? And so here, let me close this. Quit that. So I won't keep getting those notifications. And so I have it saving every 6 minutes. I'm only saving 2 versions because I really don't utilize this program too much. And I just hate having a lot of bloat. So I just wanted to do that, and you set the destination, so on and so forth. So I just wanted all that quick pointer, so you won't be doing videos like this in the future. So anyway, let me go ahead and start a new composition, and I'm going to do this. You know what? I'm not going to do that. Hold on 1 second. I opened something somewhere. It's the one thing you got to realize. You have okay, I found it. When you have a lot of windows, like I do on my computer, it opens in another window. So basically, here, I'll bring this over here. This was on my other screen. So I'm just getting ready to open up, and it saved my last composition settings. So this is the composition settings I'm going to open. And it should actually almost match what I'm about to pull in. And so I'm going to import my Illustrator file. So I hit Command I on a Mac. Let me drag this over here. Just looking for the file real quick, and then I'll import once I locate that file. And so I'll show you this real quick. When I import, I want to make sure that I import as a composition and retain the layer sizes. So I'll just click open. And when I double click that, there it is, right? So what I'll do is go on my composition. I'll hit Command K on my composition, and I'll choose, yeah. My stuff is everywhere because of, like I said, I usually draw everything in a separate window. So I got to gather my resources from the windows. So I click OK. I'll click OK here. And basically I did that just so you can see it better. And I'm going to basically take my face off. If you need to see me or ask me any questions, let me know. So I can go full screen so you can get more of it. So as you can see here, I have all of these layers, and what I'm getting ready to do is, it's kind of boring, but I'm going to go through and label all of these. Right? See, that's what she looks like without hair. It's kind of funny. My kids thought that was funny. But anyway, all I'm doing is just labeling these, and some of these I'm going to turn into shape layers. So I'll let you see that process as well. And let me label these real quick. Teeth upper. And the kind of preparation I'm doing is specifically for me to come back. And so this gives me several options. And the options that this gives me is that if I want to rig it using like joysticks and sliders to where I can just use controls to animate the face. I'll probably do that in a separate video. I just don't know how long this is going to take me. But so this is really why I'm going through this process. And it may not even be necessary for me to use joysticks and sliders, but just in case, I want to have everything set up and laid out for future use. So a lot of this is just preparation for future use, future animations, and that kind of stuff. And this is for a story that I'm working on. This will be in both book form and animation form. So just so you know, and more details about that will come out later. Okay. So right eyebrow, and I label these the opposite of what they are on the screen. It gets kind of confusing sometimes, but you adjust. Heart. And the reason why I'm keeping a lot of these things separate, like the heart on her shirt, is just so when I move it in space, I can transition those objects back and forth to give it some depth. Um, okay, I got these anomalies down here. And so all I'm doing is, yeah, so I'll show you this real quick. So I have the upper torso, let me zoom in, and the lower torso, and I'm gonna pre-compose those into one image. So I'm gonna hit Command Shift C on a Mac, and I gotta find that window. Okay, so I'll drag it in, and so it's pre-composed, and I'm just gonna call this body. And basically, what it's doing is creating a new composition for this particular image. Composition with only layer. And I usually leave it checked on this, where it moves everything into the composition. I really don't mess with this too much, but so I just click to where it opens up. And as you can see, it retained this whole layer size. And what I'm going to do is bring this all the way down to where it's just showing just the body itself. So you go to region of interest. And again, this stuff I just picked up recently because I've been out of practice with After Effects specifically. So a lot of these things I'm showing you, I just learned myself recently as well. So I'm just going to change the region of interest. Zoom in on it. And also, if you're using After Effects and it gets too intensive in terms of like your CPU and that kind of stuff, you can always um, basically render it at half or third or whatever just to save some CPU time. So I'm gonna basically crop this new comp to the region of interest, and there you go. So now when I go back, actually I should have probably changed the adjustments on it. So when I go back to Toodlebug, you see the body is up here now. So all I'm going to do is just readjust that and just use my arrow keys. So yeah, I just remember where it's based off, where it's located based on the position of the body. Oh, so I'll leave that right there. And also, what I'm going to do is adjust this location. I'll do that in a little bit. Right now, I just want to go through and just make sure I label everything. So all I'm doing also on these layers, once I click the layers, is just hit enter. That's why it's a lot faster. And in After Effects and Illustrator, you have to double click everything. And again, I'm in Adobe After Effects for those of you that are just watching. Nose. I'm just labeling everything. I think this is the mouth. Yep, mouth. And a lot of these I'll change into shape layers. Let's see, left pupil. Right pupil. Uh, Left socket. And I'm gonna adjust this to move it to where it's, and again, once I go through all of these, you'll see what I'm actually doing. Right socket. Okay, that's that ear. I'm gonna delete that because I don't need it. Let me zoom out so I can see everything. I'm on layer 32. It's my left hairball. My kids, when they saw this, they was like, she looks like a crackhead. Hairball. So we got the head already labeled. And I'm gonna hit Y. And basically, this is the pan behind tool, but this is, I'm gonna adjust this to where you can see where it'll change where the pivot is for the head, because the head will pivot, and then I'll attach all of these attributes to the head. And what I'm doing again is just character rigging. A lot of people use Toon Boom. I have Adobe Suite, so I'm using Adobe Suite. That's just the leg. I'll leave that there. I'll label it because I'm gonna actually delete this later. Foot. I'll call that left foot. And that should be everything. Yep, that's everything. So next, what I'm going to do is start masking everything. And so let me move this body layer. I'm going to take this body layer and I'm going to move it below the head layer. Right there. And I'm going to take this, make sure I still have the pan behind tool selected. I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to move this pivot. Yeah, I need to take off snapping. Actually, I'm going to pull it down to half real quick, just so to move a little faster. And really all I'm trying to do is, yep, is get it to where, like, when I pivot the body, it pivots at a certain location. All right, let me go to view, turn off snapping. There we go. I want it about right there. And so when I toggle, like when I rotate the body, everything will work with it. And again, I've brought the rendering down to half. Sorry, hopefully the zooming in and out won't confuse you too much. So also what I'm going to do is, in After Effects, you have what's called these parenting links, parent and link. So I'm going to link this head to the body. And what that allows me to do, as well as with the pivot, I'm going to hit R. And if I rotate that, you can see that it rotates both the head and the body. I'm going to hit Command Z. And I'm going to go. And then now what I'm going to do is start pairing all of these things to the head, to the body. And so you'll be able to see my process that way. But first, before I actually do the pairing, I'm going to turn some of these layers into shape layers, because this is what is necessary for me to manipulate it in 3D space. You want to get used to actually drawing the animation with shapes. The one downside to shapes inside of After Effects is that it does affect your processing speed. And so you want to keep it at half, like I did right here, or maybe even a third. So that's entirely up to you. Typically, like I said, I have all of this on a separate screen so I can have a full screen of what this looks like for myself, and it makes it a lot easier to work. And I'll just have my timeline on one of the screens at full screen as well, so it doesn't get so lost in this. This is not too bad. I've actually cleaned this up a lot more than what I originally had it. But anyway, uh, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this head shape. So we'll actually probably have to redo the pivot into a shape layer. And I'm going to do that by making sure I select my head and then go into layer. And then I'm going to go down here to create. So create shapes from vector layer. And the reason why I work in After Effects is because everything is vector. I could probably do this in Flash as well or Adobe Animate, but I'm more used to the workflow in After Effects just because of I've done motion design and all those things in the past. So I'm going to create shape layer. And as you can see, when it created that, it basically turned off my head layer and it gave me the new, and it's the same. I still have my same pivot point as you can see right here. And it gave me an outline, and I may have to readjust that outline. But it should be, no, it's actually pretty much the same. So that's another thing about doing a lot of your work in Illustrator, at least for me, is that I'm more familiar with Illustrator. So my workflow in Illustrator is a lot faster. So anyway, let me zoom in here. I'm going to actually delete this head. Probably shouldn't, but I always do. And I'm going to go click on this. So this will be the basis for a lot of what I'm doing. So I'm gonna replicate this layer. Let's see. Maybe I only need to do it one time because I'm gonna put the hair. I'm gonna mask the hair out utilizing this head layer. And so hit Command D on a Mac. Windows, I'm not sure because I haven't used Windows in forever. And what I'm going to do is take this up for right now. I'll probably adjust this. I just want to make sure. Actually, you know what? I'm going to hit Command Z because the hair needs to come down to here. So I put my hair layer under the head outline layer, and there's a reason for that. So I'm going to turn it on. You can see that big block is for hair. So if I turn this off, you can see where her hairline comes in. So what I'm going to do with this hair layer, because I specifically need these shapes for when I rotate the head in 3D space, and this hair layer, I'm hoping I'm just gambling on this because I didn't do this last night, is that when I turn this into a shape, all the different hidden shapes in there, like all these circles and things, will transform with it. I think it will, but I don't know. Also, before I do that, I'm going to adjust this rotation tool here, and I'm on the hair layer still. Yeah, I keep getting these things. So right there, I'm going to put it around where the part is, and I'm actually going to make that part a shape layer as well. And the reason being is when I adjust the hair, then I can move the part back and forth. And I'll show all of that maybe in another video so you can see how this is actually animated or the benefit of all this. So anyway, again, to create a shape layer, go to layers, create shape mask, and boom. And just as I suspected, all of these hair shapes came with it. I'm going to delete that. And so if I open this up, you can look at the contents. These are all my groups, which is what I want. And if I start turning off some of these, you can see that. And a lot of this stuff will go away, and I'm going to show you the magic of why I'm doing a lot of this as well. So I have my track matte layers on. So what I'm going to do is go to alpha matte. And so because I put this shape layer above it, when I clicked alpha, it actually masked everything that was not seen. And again, so this is no track matte. And this is with the track matte. So now this is how you use like a clipping. I'm using this layer right here to clip what you see in terms of on the screen. So this gives a great mask. I'm just going to click off of that so you can now see how this slowly takes shape. I'm going to do the same thing for the mouth. But first, before I do that, before I forget and jump too far ahead, I'm going to click on this head outline. And what I'm going to do is open the contents and path. I'm looking for this path. And so for the path, what I need is to map this to the head outline. And actually, this head outline, I'm just going to call head. And I'll color coordinate these as well, so you can check that out later. So what I'm going to do with this is open the head up, open the contents, and I'm trying to get to path. Path, boom, right here. What I'm going to do is take this pick whip and assign it to this. Assign it to the head path. And so as you can see now, before I didn't, like, if you look here, I don't know if you can see my mouse. You look here, I don't know if you can see it either. It says path and there's nothing. It's just path and this little stopwatch next to it. Up here, once I connected the pick whip to it, it gave me an expression. So this expression basically says that this path is now mapped to the path of the original head. And the reason why I do that is so when I start animating the shape, this other shape morphs along with it. And that's very important because you don't want to have to go through and manually match every single layer. So I use this technique quite a bit, is that I mask, that I map the shapes to other shapes, so I only have to change it once. And so it just helps you with the workflow. And next, what I'm going to do is the same thing with the mouth. Go to the mouth. I'm going to, first of all, again, the pan behind tool is Y is the shortcut. And I just want to stick it right there at the top of the mouth. Actually, I need to stick it a little bit higher, like where the teeth are. And I'll adjust the teeth as well. Because typically what you want when you're animating like an upper mouth or whatever, the teeth layer, should not move. The upper teeth technically should not move because the way your skull is made. So the bottom jaw is what opens up and down. Anyway, back to the mouth. I'm going to go to my layer again, hit create shapes from vector layer. And as you can see, now I have a vector. I'm going to delete that layer. And I'm actually going to dive into this mouth real quick, just so you can see how I made the mouth. I made it in a specific way. I gave it, I believe, 6 different points. Here, let me turn off the teeth. I'm going to turn off the upper teeth real quick. And so, as you can see, I have, like I said, 6 different points. Let me click this. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. So if I decide to move the mouth, I can do that because I'll use this to create my my joysticks and slider later for the mouth movement. So I'll be able to go through like all the different mouth movements utilizing this. And this will help me animate and do talks a whole lot faster. So I'll probably post a results of this later on, like of this character talking. I just need to find some quick audio for it. But anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that. I'm going to hit Command Z just so I can get back to where I need to be. And so next, I'm just going to hit enter and just change this to mouth. And I'm going to hit Command D. And what I'm going to do is, actually, before I do that, I'm going to map this to that. So that way it just stays with it. And I'll do the same with the head here in a little bit. The head outline, I'm going to map this to the head. So that way it stays with it. And with the mouth too, what I'm doing is looking for the upper teeth. I'm going to drag those down. I'm going to drag that down under mouth 2. And again, we're going to do the same thing that we did before. I'm going to mask it using the mouth 2. And as you can see, it looks kind of weird, but I got a solution for that as well. And I'm going to duplicate. Hold on. Before I do that, I'm actually going to map this shape like I did with the head. I'm going to map the path directly to the path of the original mouth. And the way these layers work is you have your base layer, which is where I'm getting the color from, which is the original mouth. And then I have a mask mouth on top of that for anything uh, further. And then what I'm going to do is just duplicate that. Hopefully it doesn't sound too confusing. So that way I can have the outline of the lips and it doesn't interfere with what's inside. So you'll see what I'm doing here in a second. So map path to path. So if I move the one, the other one will move. I'm not going to test it. I just know it's going to work. And so now that I did that, I want to go ahead and duplicate this, and I'm going to call this layer lips. And as you can see, it's still here. It's still attached to the mouth, and the path should still be attached to the other mouth as well. So I'm going to open up the path, and there you go. So that way everything lines up. And with this layer, I'm going to turn it on. And in my contents, actually, I'm going to go up here and turn this fill off. So I got to bring this from this other window, turn the fill off. Boom. Then I'm going to leave the stroke on. And actually, I may adjust the stroke. I may pull the stroke down to 4. So it's not as thick as the outline. And I'm going to do the same thing with this tongue, but I just wanted to get that. And I'm actually going to go to this original mouth and I'm going to turn off the stroke. So that way you can see what's going on. So here I need for this mouth as well. Hold on. Yep. I need to turn off the stroke. Yep. And so you can see when I did that here. So look at this area right here, because the stroke is part of the mask. When I leave the stroke on, you can see that it's coming outside of the lips. But when I turn the stroke off, there you go. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to duplicate this mask one more time. And maybe I'll call these masks, but I need to find my tongue layer, and then bring it down below that layer right there. And I'm going to just do this track mat and mouth, and boom. So the mouth is fixed and everything should be lined up. Let me double check my mouth one more time. This is mouth 3 for the actual teeth. Maybe you know what? I'm going to label them better. Yeah, I just want to check this code right here, make sure everything works well. And the good thing that with expressions, if you're a developer and you know JavaScript, the same rules apply when you start changing the expressions. The same rules of JavaScript apply. I figured out how to do a specific thing last night, and I may do it again here if I can remember. Yeah, I remember what I did. So I'll do that. I'll show you that, just adding some JavaScript. I figured it out because I couldn't find it online, and then I was like, well, if it's JavaScript, then I'll just do a JavaScript way. So anyway, so that's that. The next thing I need to do is do the mask for the eyes and the pupils, and then from there I'll show you how to use rubber hose to build the legs and the arms. So what kind of time do we have? And again, if you have any questions, be sure to let me know. So next step. Also, what I'm going to be ready to do is just slowly start turning some of these layers off. Let's see the nose. Here, what I'm going to do now is just go through and just attach all of this stuff to where it needs to go. Actually, let's see what else. Let's see eyebrow part and the ear. All this stuff in the nose, not the heart. All this stuff needs to be attached to the head. And so what I'm going to do is click on this and just select the head. And all of these are attached to the head, so you can do multiple selections at once. So now when I come down here just to test it one more time, and let me make sure the mouth is attached to the head, the original mouth, and my teeth. Make sure tongue and my teeth. I'll attach those to the mouth. And so what should happen, with the exception of, let me do the hair. Let me do my hair balls rather. And the hair. Attach that to the head. So now I grab the body and I hit R and I test the rotation. Okay, everything works. So now I need to attach the eyes, which I'm about to work on right now, right here. So we have our sockets. I'm contemplating on whether or not I should utilize, you know what? I think I'm going to pre-comp the sockets. You know what? I'm not. I'm going to keep them separate. This is going to add more layers, but it'll be worth it for me. And I'm not going to make these into a shape layer. I'm going to duplicate this. I'll call that left socket mask. And then I'll just move this above that. Since the eye sockets pretty much stay the same. And I may actually make a mask specifically for the eyes on the rotation. So I'll see how that's going to work. But this is the reason why I want to keep them separate so I can manipulate the mask when I turn the head in 3D space. And again, track mat, boom. So now when I move my pupil, and I zoom in, it's masked out. And so that's the benefit of using these mask layers. So I can now move my pupil around and it'll be fine. I'm going to do the same thing for the right socket. You're going to duplicate that, move it above here. I'll change that to right socket mask. Same thing. Boom. So that's taken care of. Then I want to make sure all of this, the mask, all the sockets are attached to the head. And then the pupils, I want to keep those attached to the sockets. No socket. Oops. Let me click off that. And the right pupil needs to be attached to the right socket. Okay, so we're making progress. Let me make these eyebrows. Eyebrows are attached to the head. Test it one more time. That's the body. Okay, good to go. Let me attach the heart to I need to make the heart a shape as well. And the reason why I need to do that is because I'll probably manipulate that in space when I turn the body. And this is just the tedious part of what you have to do in like building your character rigs. It can be tedious, but after a while, you just, like I said, you just adjust to it. For myself, I'm adjusted to it, so it's no big deal for me. Let's see, let me readjust this. So right now, all I'm doing is just readjusting my pivots for the hair. And I'm just bringing them down to where they align with the head. So if I decide to like make the little hairballs wiggle, then I have that opportunity to do so. And now what I'm going to do, since I have a lot of these taken care of, see the leg cover, my ear. Let me make sure the ear is attached to the head. Let me move to where the ear needs to go, about right there. So when I wiggle my ear, Um, Actually, I'm gonna bring that down to about, oh, okay, right there. That's what I want. So that way, I'm gonna have to adjust my ear positioning as well. And what I'm going to do is make a duplicate of that ear. I'm gonna call it um, right ear, and this ear will actually be hidden below the head. Here, before I do that, I want you to be able to see what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to let's see, is it edit or is it layer? Layer, transform, flip horizontal. And so as you can see, I'm gonna just bring that over. So that's the other ear. It looks weird. It will actually be up here and rotate it a little bit. Let me hit R. So, and you won't see this ear until I do a head turn. So I'm going to actually put this about right there and I'm going to move it below the head. So you won't see that ear, but I just want to have it there for later. So again, when I start rotating this face, everything will move with it. And so that way you'll be able to see it. But for those of you out that don't know what I'm talking about. So next step, let me turn off some of these layers just to keep my palette clean. And I'm just going through, just clicking off all these layers for right now. Because the only layer I really need is the foot and the body uh, that I'll be working with. And I wish that I could highlight all of these and just turn them off. This way. Yeah, I don't need the head. So we got the body, we got the leg, and we got the foot. That's really all I need. And the leg cover. I'll move this leg cover down. And I'll show you why I'm using the leg cover here in a second. No, the leg cover needs to go above the body. And so when I turn this on shy, so this is what you call shying a layer. And basically it just hides all the layers from your timeline. So now I just have the things I really want to focus on. So this is where we actually start with the joysticks and slider. I mean, not the joysticks and sliders, but the rubber hose. So I'm going to turn on rubber hose. I'm going to attach this to my timeline over here. I'll do that. I'll put it right there. And so what I want to do is create my first leg. And I'm using rubber hose for those of you all. It's a plug-in that you can buy from Battle Axe. It costs roughly $40. So I'm going to label this, let's see, right leg. Then I'm going to select hip and ankle because I'm going to connect it from here to here. I'm going to call it hip and ankle. Before I do that, let me slide this over some. It's the position that I had in my drawing, but I really don't want to keep it that way. And I'm going to move this here to on the heel because I'll be controlling my leg with my foot. So I just wanted to put that on the heel. Let me see, go back. I want it above my foot. So I'll click on this layer here. And again, coming back over here to my rubber hose, I have hip and ankle selected. So all I need to do is click on new rubber hose. And as you can see, it's calculating. Let me zoom out. And it's created. Let me move this to the top. Actually, it won't even matter. Whoops. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the head off just so you can, actually, I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to unshy these. I'm going to take it all the way to the top. I'm going to select all those and then just bring it all the way to the top. So that way you can see what I'm using. So, okay. So with the rubber hose, what you need to do is basically take your hip position. As you can see, it's hip, and you want to move it to where it needs to go. But first, let's see, I'm going to actually shorten this. I don't know how long it needs to be, but the thing with rubber hose is that it stays extended regardless. So just so you know. So right now, what I'm doing is just taking my hip and I'm moving it in place. And I'll show you how to adjust this. I'm moving my hip in place on where I think it needs to be. And I remember from working on this last night on how thick the hose needs to be. So I'll adjust that too. So next I'm going to move my ankle to right where I want it to be. I want it to be roughly right there, and it'll be behind the actual shoe. So when I bring these layers back down, you'll be able to see that. And so I'm going to go up here to the left, and I'm going to change the bend direction to a negative 100. And you can see that that changed, right? And I'm going to bring down this hose length. So when I hit that height, I'll take it down to 150, maybe 140. Yeah, 140 works. I'm going to leave it at 140. So now here I'm going to attach this ankle to my foot. So if I move the foot, as you can see, that goes with it, right? And I'll be able to, and I can adjust the bend if I want to keep it like natural to where it like bends at 90 degrees and not rubbery looking. But that really depends on the kind of animation that you want. I'm not 100% decided on how I want this to be animated, but that's going to be part of it. Okay, so next step is I'm going to move all of this down. I'm going to move it down below my foot and the body. I'm actually going to turn the leg cover off just for a second. So I just want to see, I'm going to zoom out, how this lines up. And then what I'm going to do now is start to style. So what I'm going to go through right now is going to show you how to style rubber hose inside of After Effects. So I'm going to click on, see, and I got to remember this myself. Okay, here we are. We got the right leg. I'm going to open it up, go to my content. And so we have style. So you have your base hose. And the way I did this last night, I'm trying to think of how I did this. Yeah, because rubber hose, if you look up here, is based on the actual, is based on the stroke. So if I click on here, it's the stroke where I'm going to get my color from. So I'm going to do the underlying color, which is going to be black. So I changed that to black, and as you can see, it turned the leg black. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to duplicate that base hose. I'm going to duplicate it, and I'll call it leg color. Call it leg color. I'm going to change this color to brown. Then also what I'm going to do is this will be the basis for how thick my leg is. So I think I want the leg to be about 30 pixels wide. So what I'm going to do to make it 30 pixels wide, here. So we have the right head, we have the base hose open, and this is where the math comes in. This is what I was talking about in terms of math. And then I have my leg color. And what I want is for my strokes to match. So what I'm going to do is take this stroke here, and I'm going to match it to my stroke width here. Okay, everybody see that? So now when I change this stroke width, the other stroke width changes, right? But what I'm going to do now is come here with my new code in place. See, so basically this says content style and the content and the lead color and the stroke width is pretty much matched to see lead color, right? And so what all I'm gonna do is come in here. This is some JavaScript type stuff. So I'm just gonna make this a variable. A equals content, right? And I'm gonna hit a semicolon. Then I'm just gonna do A plus 12. And that should work. I think that's what I did last night. Boom. As you can see, it got fatter instantly, right? And so what I'm going to do now is take this down to 18. And basically that just shows you that it's just matching the same stroke that I have. So I'm basically faking the stroke thickness. And maybe I had it at 24. Yep, right there. So you can see when I adjust this, that this automatically matches. Whoops, sorry about that. I accidentally switched compositions. See, because I made this a variable, and again, I don't have to put a semicolon here because it's the last thing read. I could add a semicolon just to keep it tidy. But so basically when I match these things, I turn this right here where the A is, I made that equal a variable, and then I can manipulate the variable. Last night I was trying to figure out how to do it, and I was adding inside of the stroke width and all of that, and it didn't work. And then I was like, oh, I just make it a variable, and boom, it solves the problem. Okay, so next I need to further design out, okay, what this leg is going to look like, because she's wearing pink pants. So I need to come in here and add another stroke for the pink. So all I'm going to do, we got lead color here. Actually, I'm going to close the base. I'm going to leave lead color open because I'm going to duplicate the lead color. Duplicate, call it lead color 2, and I'm going to actually, I'll call it pants. And then what I'm going to do for the pants is I'm going to take this stroke width and I'm just going to match it, basically match it to the stroke width on the other. Boom. Whoops. I didn't do what I wanted. I went down too far. Stroke width. That's what I want right there. Okay. Next, I'm going to add a trim path. Now, let me change this color just so I can see it for one. Okay. So as you can see, it goes all the way down. I'm going to add a trim path to this. And what the trim path will do, let's see, I always get these confused. Okay, the bottom. As you can see that, I don't know if you can see that. Let me zoom in a little bit. When I adjust the start position of where the trim path goes, it slides it up the leg. So basically, I'm recreating her leg through strokes. So I'll bring it up just a little bit more because what I'm going to do now is add a stroke specifically for the leg here to go between these two things. So it'll be like a 6-point stroke here. And I actually could make that a butt cap too. Let's see how that'll work. Pants. So you go to stroke, line cap, butt cap. Yeah, I'll do that. I just wanted to make sure that it didn't show at the top. So I made it a line cap. And then with the line cap, I'll go back to my trim path to extend that just a little bit further down. Whoops, going the wrong way. About right there. I'm going to add one more stroke because I had that all outlined. Hit Command D. and I'll call this leg stroke. And it's take on the same properties as the other one. I'm just going to change the color here to black. I'm not worried about all that right now. How it looks kind of cruddy, because the goal is to do just that, just to add a line. Yep, 6 pixel line, and the width. Yeah, that's what I changed. I changed the stroke width, and I made it mirror the stroke width down here. Hold on 1 second. Let me turn off leg color. We got leg stroke. Yeah, stroke. Sorry about that. Sometimes I get lost looking at everything, and I'll just match it to my base hose. I want to match it to that stroke there. Here, I'm going to adjust this up some just so I can see. I'm just going to copy this here. Boom. We got rid of that yellow pixelation there. So now, after all of that, so if I take my foot, just so you can see how this works, if I move my foot around, the stroke stays with it. I don't lose the stroke. Everybody see that? So I'm going to hit Command Z. Let's put it back in position. The next thing I'm going to do is duplicate this. So in rubber hose, the way you duplicate something is you select all of the rubber hose components. You come over here to your rubber hose box or whatever, info box, and then you click on duplicate here. You see it says duplicate selected group. I'm going to duplicate that, and as you can see, it's all selected. I'm just going to grab it and move it down here, and then I can rename all of those here. Rename hose group. Hold on, it's down here because of my window. So here I'm renaming the hose group. I'm calling it left leg, and then I hit rename, and boom, it all changed down here, as you can see. Then with all of those selected, I'm going to zoom in some. I'm just going to slide it over if it lets me. Oops. I'm just sliding it over. There we go. So I'm going to leave it right there. I'm going to add another foot. Left foot. I'm going to duplicate that left foot. I'm going to drag it to about right there. I'm going to bring it under this other leg here. And then I'm going to, just like we did before, I'm going to take this and connect it to left foot 2. And then so now when I move left foot 2 out, the leg comes with it. You see that? So this is how you basically start building your components, so it'll be ready for a walk cycle, because now I can move this leg independently from the other one as well. So that's that. Let me do this leg cover real quick. And the arms you'll do the exact same way. And I may do the arms. Who knows? I just need to check my time. So the leg cover, I made this beforehand, so I didn't really remember how to do this. For the leg cover, what I'm going to do is come up here, go to my layer, and create a new shape out of it. I'll delete that. Come in here, change the name. Just hit enter, backspace it. And now I'll just go click on my path here. And so I'll show you the purpose of the leg cover here in a second. So I'm going to zoom in. So the leg cover, It's pretty much designed for myself. And I saw this on a tutorial from Ross Plasko, by the way. It's just there for me to, and this goes to the right leg. I don't know if this will work. I'm going to try it. So if I move my foot, nope, that didn't work. Maybe I need to change it to the hip. If this doesn't work, I'll have to figure it out, and then maybe I'll put a note in the, because it should take on the rotation. It did not. So I have to figure out what he did for that. Maybe it's the rotation. I'll come in here. I'll hit R. I'll come to the hip. Content. Nope. Hip, I hit R as well. I don't know if that's it, but we'll see if that works. Nope, that didn't work. So I'll have to figure this out myself because I have no idea exactly how he did that. I have an idea of how to make something similar, and what I could do is actually create my own stroke, make this a stroke, and then copy the stroke to that path. So I'll figure that out later. But the whole idea is just to cover up how that looks for the outside leg. And again, this is my first time trying to do that. So I'll go see what's going on with that and then figure that out. So for now, I'm just going to turn the leg cover off and readjust. Whoops. I'm just going to click on this leg and just move it back some, just so you can see there. And then actually another thing I need to do is take these hips and attach them to the body. So that way, if I move my body, you see the legs are attached. And I need to attach that heart back to the body as well. So that's that. That's pretty much a basic rig for a character. And the next thing that I'll do, particularly for this rig, is I'll build the arms out. I'll attach them it's the exact same process that you do with the legs. And then also I'll make a mouth grid or a mouth joystick to where I can control the ups and the downs. That'll probably take me a little bit because I got to go through all the positions and build them out. I probably won't show that one for this character. I may do it for another character, but for right now, that'll be it for today. And I'll probably post what this looks like later after everything is done. But anyway, that's my character. The character's name is Toodlebug. And you'll be seeing more of her soon. I appreciate everybody that watched. And again, if you have any questions or anything, definitely leave them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to check the questions and answer those for you. Anyway, hope you guys have a great day.